Good morning, hello, and welcome to Dublin, to Ireland, to the UCD Quinn School of Business. And thank you so very much for joining us for this webinar this morning. I see that we are just letting people in, so we'll start shortly. And once we start, I'll introduce our panel, I'll give a little overview of what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll get started. And I think in total today, we will take maybe an hour or so. We have some excellent students and graduates joining us, so we will have a Q&A session at the end. But all told, I think we should be done within the hour. We are recording this webinar, so we will make it available afterwards to follow up. And my colleagues will be adding some links throughout the presentation as well. Okay, so I think we have a number of people joining us, so we will get started. So hello and welcome. My name is Aoife Doherty. I am one of the directors in the UCD Lachlan Quinn School of Business. So my role is the director of the Quinn School office, and the Quinn School office in the Lachlan Quinn School looks after all kinds of student support and engagement, from admissions through programs, through scholarships, exchanges, internships. All the opportunities around student life come through the Quinn School office. So I'm delighted today to be here to tell you a little bit about Quinn, a little bit about our programs, and to introduce you to some important people as we go through. So joining me today is Associate Professor Kieran Heavey. Kieran is the Academic Director of the Bachelor of Commerce program. The Bachelor of Commerce is one of our oldest programs. It started in 1908. So Kieran is going to talk through the program in depth. I'm also joined by three of our students and graduates. Michaela is a recent graduate coming from the United States. We'll meet Michaela later on. Arnav and Shannon are both current students, and both are on internship placement this year. And again, they will talk us through their experience coming from India and the United States, how they found life in Dublin, and how they are getting on in their internships. And Michaela will be giving her perspective as a recent graduate, and we're delighted to have them join us. We're also joined by two of my other colleagues, Valerie Abbott, who's our marketing manager, and Emily Cassidy, who is our international student coordinator, and we will get to see them later as well. So jumping in, here is our plan for our hour together. I'm going to give an overview of the Quinn School of Business, give you a brief summary of our undergraduate programs, and then we're going to highlight into the Bachelor of Commerce. I said this is our oldest program and our largest program, so Kieran will talk through that in depth. We'll also take a look at our internship and exchange opportunities, which are very popular across our student body, our graduate outcomes. So where are our students going on completion of their degrees? Emily will talk through our scholarships, and then we will have our chat with our student and graduate panel. Okay. So thank you for joining us today. And we have attendants joining us from around the globe. We have people coming from Brazil, from America, from India, throughout Africa, the Middle East. So it's a very global audience, and it is great to have so many coming from so far afield. But I guess the question is, why? Why would you be thinking about joining us in Dublin, in Ireland, a small country on the periphery of Europe? You can see it here in our map, the top left-hand corner. We're the most westerly point in Europe. And why indeed would you come? Would you want to make that big journey from the glorious sunshine in the Middle East to a very cold -1 degree in Dublin today? Well, Ireland is, as you know, a member of the European Union. We're the only English-speaking country in the European Union following the United Kingdom's exit, following Brexit a couple of years ago. And with that, we have become, or have grown to become over the last couple of years, an industrial powerhouse in Europe. And within Dublin, the capital city in Ireland, we have a very large number of multinational companies, a lot focused around technology, a lot focused around finance. In fact, Dublin is the global hub and centre for aviation leasing and financing. So there's a huge volume of industry based around Dublin. And with that industry comes opportunity for our graduates and a significant amount of growth. And we'll talk about our industry partnerships a little bit later on. But that's just the context for Ireland in terms of business. Ireland is a very small, friendly, English-speaking country. As we say here, it is one of the safest countries in the world. So there's many things that will draw students to Ireland. Probably not the weather, because it is a little bit cold and generally a little bit wet. But that is the background to Dublin and Ireland. And then, thinking about why would you come and study business at the Queen's School of Business? Well, to explain, University College Dublin is one of Ireland's largest public universities. The Queen's School of Business exists within the College of Business in University College Dublin. And we have been in operation since I mentioned 1908 when we started our Bachelor of Commerce program. It was called the Faculty of Commerce back then, and it has grown and expanded exponentially over the 120 years or so since we started delivering our business programs. But we are within the College of Business and the Queen's School, we are one of the top 1% of business schools globally. And with that comes a number of accreditations, international accreditations from the United States and from Europe, EQUIS and AACSB and AMBA, our MBA ranking and accreditation. Students that come, and we will get to talk to some of our students later on, have outstanding graduate outcomes, having come through the program and studied with us for 3 or 4 years, having been exposed to excellent academics, to cutting edge research, to industry connections and corporate connections. Our graduates, when they leave after their time with us, are very successful or move very successfully into business and into further study. So right now, and we will have a slide on this later on, 99% of our students are either are working or are in further study 6 months after graduation. And our starting salary for students who go into industry is around 30 to 35,000 euros, which is a very high starting salary. Internships, so that corporate connection and that application of theory into practice, internships form a significant part of our programs. And again, we'll discuss these shortly. They are paid internships which last for a year throughout the program, particularly the Bachelor of Commerce, the BSc Business program, and our Economics and Finance. In UCD, in the Queen's School, we have a growing global population. We have around 13% of our intake of students come from outside Ireland, and around 45% of our teaching and academic staff are outside Ireland. So it gives us a very global sense. I think our tagline in UCD is that we bring Ireland to the world and we bring the world into Ireland. And that's what we like to see reflected in our student population and across our teaching and support staff. And with that idea of engagement and internationalization, all our programs in the Queen's School give you further opportunity to participate in an exchange, whether it is a summer program or whether it is a year-long or semester exchange, which is also another way to engage further beyond Ireland. So I'd like to give you just a few visuals on what the school looks like. We are delighted to have opened a new branch, a new wing, the Moores Centre for Business in the Queen's School in 2019. That's the top picture on the left-hand side. And this gives us a huge additional space for students, both for studying and for teaching. We have large lecture theatres, we have smaller classrooms for tutorials, we have shared spaces for students to work together and smaller, more private rooms for individual work. And Kieran will probably talk a little bit about the ethos of work and study in Quinn and our focus on group work. So down here on the left-hand side is one of our study rooms, which are open for students to book. Here is just the inside of the building, which is very active and busy. We have 2,300 students registered in the Queen's School, so it really is a pretty busy space. And over on the right-hand side here is our KPMG-sponsored Bloomberg Lab. And Bloomberg is industry software which gives up-to-date financial information. And I know Arnav is probably quite familiar. I might be able to talk about this later on as well. Students on our programs can register for Bloomberg and get their certification, which is really a useful thing to have before embarking on an internship or heading into the world of work. And our top right-hand picture up here just represents the very global sense that we have around the school. We like to keep flags up throughout the year representing the student body. So you might be able to see your country flag there. Okay, so to give you a brief summary of our undergraduate programs in the Queen's School, we have 5 undergraduate degree programs. 2 of them are generalist. They are the Bachelor of Commerce and the BSc Business programs. Kieran will talk in depth about the Bachelor of Commerce, but to explain the BSc Business program, it is a generalist 3-year business program with the option to add an additional 1-year internship. You also have the opportunity to go on exchange for a semester. So first year and second year set out the foundations of business across all the core disciplines. So accounting, finance, management, marketing, economics, maths, statistics. And then by final year, students are able to move into the direction that they want to follow, any of those business disciplines or combination of all. We also have quite an intercultural global focus throughout the program. So in first year and second year, there are core modules about developing and building up international competencies, some designed for the workplace. And then by final year, there are some global cultural modules as well. But there's lots of potential for focusing in on the areas that students are interested in. That includes the very popular accounting and finance. So Commerce International is our 4-year degree program, which focuses on business and languages. Students select a language, so German, Italian, French, Chinese, Spanish, and they study a combination of business and language across 4 years. 3 years will be based in the Quinn School of Business, and 1 year will be based on exchange, where students will focus on their language and bring up their language skills. It is a very active program and is probably a top choice for students who really want to focus on their linguistic capabilities. We see a number of international students joining us every year on that program. Economics and Finance is one of our specialist programs. Economics and Finance is a 3-year program with the opportunity for a 1-year internship, also the potential for a semester exchange in second year. It is heavily focused on financial maths. So first year of the program is foundation level maths, analysis, calculus, a lot of computational modules. So that is first year and second year. By final year, you're using your foundation in maths to apply to economics, econometrics, and quantitative finance. So it's quite a challenging program. It's smaller. It's our smallest program. We have 75 students in total on that program and around 10% of international students. And then the final program that I'm going to mention is our double major, which is our Business and Law 4-year program, which is a combination program between the Quinn School of Business and our colleagues in the Sutherland School of Law. So it is 50% business and law throughout first, second, and third year of the programs. And in final year, students can choose to move into the area that they're more interested in, whether it's on the business side or the law side. It is a double major program, so you cannot drop one of the combinations throughout. You just have the opportunity in final year to tilt a little bit to the area that you're most interested in. And again, we have a growing number of international students on that program, and particularly a growing number of international students coming from India, where they share the same legal framework. So we're always interested to have more international students on that particular program. So I'm just going to flag here as well the entry pathways into our programs here in UCD across the 5 programs. So there's a number of different ways to join our programs. The most direct is UCD direct application. That's going on to myucd.ie, clicking on starting an application and applying directly, uploading your school results, your English language results if required, and posting your application in, and you get a response generally within a week or so in terms of your application. So that is based and assessed on your second level state exams. And I know that Emily will pop up a link shortly and it'll guide you in to see what's required by country, because it varies country by country. There are some other alternative pathways in. One popular with the North American students is our Liberal Arts and Science program. This gives students a significant amount of flexibility. It's targeted towards the generalist program, the Bachelor of Commerce and the BSc Business. Students join the Liberal Arts program for 2 years and they take a range of subjects across the university in sciences and in business. And by the end of 2 years, they decide where they want to go in terms of their major. So we see a number of students joining us every year through that pathway. It's very good for students who aren't quite sure what it is they want to do. They're interested in business, but might also be interested in arts or sciences. I want to try out a few subject areas before making their final choice. We also have an entry pathway through our foundation program on campus, which is the Dublin Study Group, the Dublin Study Centre. And this is for students who might struggle a little bit with the language, who might need another year's English language focus before taking on the challenges of a full-time degree program. And that is a one-year program based on campus in Dublin, and all the links are on our website. And for students who are joining us from China, we have a number of in-country foundation programs in China. We have one in Southwest with one of our partner universities, Xiamen University. We have one in Beijing Foreign Studies University. And we have a new program actually, which is just launching in Singapore from PSB Academy, but I know that they're very active in China as well. So they're just ones to keep an eye out, that there's more than one potential pathway to join us in the Quinn School. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Kieran, and Kieran is going to talk us through the Bachelor of Commerce program, as I mentioned, one of our long-standing programs and one of our most popular programs. Many thanks, Kieran.
Thank you very much, Aoife, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's truly a great pleasure to be with you today, and I'm delighted to talk to you about our Bachelor of Commerce program. I've been involved in the Bachelor of Commerce program for probably the last 15 years, and in my view, it is probably the best degree in Ireland when it comes to business, but also I think one of the best degrees internationally. And I want to talk a little bit about what the key differentiators are, because there are lots of business programs. There's lots of places you can choose to study business. I want to emphasize why the Quinn School and why commerce in particular would be a good choice for you, depending on your objectives. And I think as outlined in the slide, the commerce program is a globally recognized business degree. It's designed for ambitious and achievement-oriented students who want to make a significant impact in the business world. So I want to parse this a little bit and talk a little bit about what it is you look for in a program, when in a business program. And I think the first thing you look at is the curriculum. And I think our curriculum is cutting edge. It's a curriculum that undergoes ongoing evolution. It's updated very regularly. We have one of the largest faculties in the country when it comes to business. And that curriculum offers both a depth of insight into a range of topics: accounting, finance, marketing, data analytics, information systems, artificial intelligence. All of the major topics are covered. And so, as Aoife mentioned, it gives you a strength in the breadth of coverage. So you get to learn about every facet of business. But in the final year, you really do get to specialize in an area of expertise. And that's where you get to position yourself on the marketplace. If you want to go and work with the big four accounting firms or professional service firms, you can specialize in accountancy. If you want to go and work in management consulting, you can take management modules, you can take entrepreneurship modules. So it gives you a great degree of flexibility that I don't believe a lot of other curriculums will give you. So both depth and breadth of curriculum, I think, is the first differentiator of the BCom. Secondly, I want to emphasize that since its foundation, we have always had a global outlook. Our student base is global. Our alumni base is global. We have alumni chapters all over the world. And our aim is to attract the best and the brightest and the most ambitious students throughout the world, no matter where they're located. And I have to say, that's one of the core assets of our program. I teach a final year module in which I walk into class every week. And it's just such a pleasure because you are meeting with the brightest minds in the business world, because we really attract the best type of people. I think the third differentiator is our globality and our global networks and our global reach. I think the partnerships that we have formed with different institutions is critical. I think when you look at our exchange opportunity, the opportunity to spend a semester in another institution, The partners that we have are some of the best institutions in the world. You can spend a semester, in Bocconi in Italy. You can spend a semester in Copenhagen Business School in Denmark. You can spend, a semester in the leading universities in Singapore, in Hong Kong. So that is an opportunity that you don't get with a lot of other programs. And I guess our fourth differentiator would be our support infrastructure. I think the support that IFA offers, that our program team offers, is unparalleled. We're very skilled at solving lots of problems. We don't like to think in terms of problems. We like to think in terms of solutions. And if you are an international student coming to us, you have a lot of demands, you have a lot of uncertainties, and we do our best to, socialize you to the school, socialize you to the country, and deal proactively with your problems. So let me deal more comprehensively with the curriculum. So in the first year or two of the program, you really are going to engage with all of the principles of business. You'll cover organizational behavior, you'll cover maths, and I think today, more so than at any other point in our history, mathematical foundations of business are critical. In order to be able to use artificial intelligence, you need to be able to manage data. And in order to be able to manage data, you need to be conversant in mathematics. So I actually think this is probably one of the most important modules on the curriculum. You'll deal with foundations of management, you'll deal with business law. In light of regulation, particularly around artificial intelligence, having a legal foundation is critical. We'll give you foundations in financial accounting, in economics, in statistics. And we also run in the first year a very novel module, business management simulation, that I teach myself, where you'll actually run a company for a semester using computer simulation. And you'll grapple with all of the tasks that an entrepreneur must manage in the first couple of years of operation. And at the end of that process, you'll present a business plan to a panel of adjudicators. So that turns out to be a really nice experience. And within all of these modules, there are really nice opportunities to engage with other students, to engage with faculty. It's not just walking into a large lecture theatre and being delivered information in a one-way fashion. We emphasize we place a lot of emphasis on one-to-one development, as well as working in teams. In the second stage of the program, you'll continue to engage with those principles of business. We'll introduce you to finance, to macroeconomics, to marketing, to digital society. You'll further study financial accounting. In the spring trimester, you have the choice to stay here in Belfield, or whether you would like to travel and spend that semester studying at one of our partner institutions. We've designed the curriculum in a way that ensures that when you do travel, you're covering a similar set of modules, not identical, but fairly similar. So you'll get a similar type of experience. But in my view, this opportunity is transformational. It gives you the opportunity to study somewhere else, to learn a new culture, to get another top institution on your CV, and to develop a worldwide network. So from my view, that opportunity is a game changer. Then in your when you come back from intern or exchange, you'll enter into your final year, in which you will be able to specialize in different areas. And the way the program is designed, we are not forcing you to specialize into very narrow functional areas. You can, but you can also combine areas. You could combine marketing and data analytics. That's an increasingly popular combination. You can combine finance and public policy, or economics and public policy. So really, you get to choose your curriculum in the final year for the most part. So let me finally talk a little bit about the learning environment and the assessment approaches. As I mentioned, it's not about walking into a large lecture theatre and being fed information. It's a very stimulating, it's a very challenging environment. We aim to push you out of your comfort zone very early in the program, because it is those experiences where you really grow as a professional and as a as a person. We place a big emphasis on group projects. Not everybody likes them, but we have a lot of best practice around how to run groups effectively. And I think that the fourth point on this slide is really the critical one. It's active learning or action learning. It's learning by doing. It's learning by engaging in challenging experiences like simulations, like case studies, where you will really develop your skills. The assessment is varied. Yes, you will have exams, but you'll also participate in group projects, in simulations, in case studies, in debates. You'll even make videos. So I think it provides a very rich educational environment. So I think that is all I have to say. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end, but I will pass back to Aoife.
Many thanks, Kieran. That really is a great overview and highlighting some of the really challenging and different modules that are available in the Bachelor of Commerce program, including the business management simulation, which is always very, very highly regarded. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about Erasmus and exchange. And Kieran mentioned our global connections and our partnerships. And in the Quinn School, we partner with over 70 universities globally. And they are some of the top universities. So in China, for example, we partner with PKU in Peking, Tsinghua. We have a number of outstanding partners. You mentioned Bocconi, Kieran. We also have SMU in Singapore, NUS in Singapore. We have the Ivy School in Canada. We have partnerships in Australia, New Zealand. So there is plenty for students to do inside Europe if you want to stay and avail of the Erasmus support grant within Europe, or go further afield. So there is plenty of places available. Our requirements are that students work hard in first year. The first year of your degree program doesn't count for your overall degree, but by working hard in first year, you unlock the opportunity. You've demonstrated that you're academically capable to take on the challenges of transitioning to a different academic environment. So for students that meet the GPA requirement of 3.0, it unlocks the opportunity in second year. We highly recommend students to partake if they can. Sometimes a semester can be quite long, so we have shorter engagement pieces as well. We have week-long trips in March, and we have summer schools again, which are available to students. And we have a dedicated colleague in the school who looks after all our exchange partnerships and placements. We run a number of information sessions early on just to get students tuned in and thinking about planning all the opportunities within their degree. And we mentioned our career outcomes for students and employability. So along with the excellent academics that Kieran mentioned, we run a number of supports beginning in first year to get students thinking about what they want to do throughout their degree, what their aim is, where they would like to work, and to get students planning and thinking about that from early on. And this starts within some modules in the curriculum as well, but outside the curriculum, we run a number of support programs. And our first one for first year students is an insight program. So insight days are quite common in companies. We bring students in to give them a sense of what it feels and looks like to be in industry. And that can be anything from accountancy firms, professional services firms, tech firms. We've brought students to Microsoft, Google. There are a range of industries based in Dublin, and we run a series of those every year for first years. By second year, we provide students with the opportunity to avail of a mentor. A mentor is an alumni, somebody who has graduated from the undergraduate programs 5 to 10 years. So they're well advanced in their career, but they can remember what it was like to be an undergraduate student. So they provide guidance and support. They provide the opportunity for shadowing days. And all that leans into our bespoke internship program, which is the 1-year paid placement between a second year and final year of the Bachelor of Commerce, Economics and Finance, and BSc Business program. We put a lot of work and effort and support into that. We provide CV preparation, mock interviews. We organize an internship fair where the employers come in. We source all the jobs. Students don't have to do that. We do all the sourcing of the employment opportunities, bring the students and employers together, and run a process where students can apply for up to 5 internship placements. And that happens in the second half of second year. And the internship placement begins then in September and runs for one academic year. And it is part of your degree program. It turns the degree program into 4 years, 240 credit program. And because it is part of your program, fees are involved because there's also an academic module that you will do, a reflective module throughout the year to keep thinking about how you're putting your learning into practice and a focus on your skills development. But recognizing that the fees for NANIU students are significantly higher than for our domestic students, we have reduced that fee year. So when students are on internship, instead of paying full fees, they pay a nominal portion of the fees related to our EU level, which is around 5,700 euros. So that is a reduction from 22,000 down to 5,700 for that internship year. We think it's very important, and we want to maximize the opportunity for NANIU students to be part of this program. So along with that as well, we have other engagement pieces. We have a finance trip to London every year, and that is of particular interest for those that want to focus on finance and generally global finance. A high level of interest from our students on the economics and finance program, but we make places available across all areas. And that is a 1-week trip to London where you network, you visit a range of global companies and consultancy houses in London, and that takes place at the beginning of September. Because you are a student at the Queen's School, you also have access to our very broad-reaching alumni network with over 100,000 members. And as Kieran mentioned, we have chapters globally. So there are always alumnus in country. They organize talks and events. So there's a great network to be part of. And then also within the university context, we run our own events, but the university also organizes a number of large fairs, career fairs, and employer talks throughout the year. And they generally happen in the first semester. So we encourage all our students to be part of those. The internship program for us, it began in 2010, and we had maybe 3 or 5 students starting the program in 2010. We now have over 300 students who choose to avail of the 1-year paid internship placement. And we'll have a chat with 2 of our students shortly who are on internship and get their reflections. But the majority of students feel that it's a good way of putting their learning into practice. It's a good way of getting industry experience before you come back to complete your final degree. And the placements that we have on offer cover a range of industries. We've mentioned finance, we've mentioned accounting. We also have marketing, operations, production, communications, events planning. We have a very, very broad-reaching span of opportunities. And this photo on the top left-hand corner is the fair that I mentioned, where we bring in the employers and students to come together and talk and learn about the opportunities or the jobs that are available in each of the different companies. And this is all run through our internship office here in the Queen's School by my colleague, Claire Kingston. And then thinking ahead, thinking beyond your internship and your final year. So where do our students go once they complete their degrees? They go again into a range of different industries, but 83% within 6 months of graduation are in employment, and another 16% are in further education. Many within our Graduate School of Business, our Smurfit Graduate School of Business, but a lot internationally as well. We have a number of students studying in, again, top-reaching universities globally, so MIT in the States. We have students in Notre Dame in the States, and we have a number of students on scholarship programs in Beijing as well. So we've listed our top 10 employers there. So KPMG, EY, Deloitte, Accenture, PwC, they are major global professional services and accountancy firms. And then we have some of the major tech firms as well, where our students end up after graduation. So just to give a sense of where some of our students are, and this is the class of 2024. These are our students that were sitting where you are now, maybe 3-4 years ago. And Emily, my colleague Emily, who is our international student coordinator, who's very engaged in supporting and assisting our international students from admissions all the way through to graduation and beyond. So Emily will talk us through, just to give us a quick snapshot on our students and where they are now. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, Aoife, and thanks everyone again for tuning in today. So you can just see these are a few of our recent graduates. They just graduated in September. And all of these students have either secured a job, either here in Ireland or back home, or they've gone on to further study, like Elizabeth Toomey. So Elizabeth up there in the upper right corner is from the United States. She studied Commerce International, and she's now gone on to complete a master's in the Smurfit School of Business. Which is a part of the UCD College of Business. So Elizabeth is part of the SEMS program, which incorporates a language. Elizabeth will go off and study in another partner university outside of Ireland. She'll come back and study for a semester in the Smurfit School, and then she will partake in an internship placement here in Dublin. So it's quite a unique program. Another one of our recent graduates, Pedro from Colombia, he's gone on to complete a master's in supply chain management and sustainability in Barcelona. However, Pedro graduated with several job offers. He completed the internship program with us and received a graduate job offer from the employer that he was working with, but later on decided that he'd like to pursue a master's instead. A few of these other students have gone on to secure jobs, such as Zoe O'Byrne. She's also from the United States and studied BSc Business, and she now works for Amazon as a development representative. You can see another student here, Gaurang Gumber. He's from India, and he completed a degree in economics and finance, and he's gone on to a finance role with the Unifar Group here in Dublin. Katie Ryan from the United States has opted to stay in Dublin as well, and she's working for a global company, Wayflyer. And finally, sorry, it's that time of year where we're all getting sick. Finally, our last student, Altamesh, studied business and law, and he now works for PwC in the corporate tax department. So that's just a quick snapshot. You can see these students have gone and explored different options, master's degrees or jobs. So we might move on to scholarships. So finally, we do recognize that it can be expensive to study abroad. So UCD does offer a few scholarships, including the Global Excellence Scholarship, which is a 50 or 100% tuition scholarship. And I would encourage you all to look into the scholarship. The deadline for the application varies depending on which region you're located in. So I'll post that link in a minute. There are also international student scholarships. So once you complete your undergraduate degree application, you're automatically considered for one of these scholarships. There's not a separate application. These scholarships range from 3,000 to 7,000 euro for tuition. And then finally, in the Quinn School, we offer scholarships for continuing students. These are stage awards or module awards. So if you complete, if you finish a module and at the top of the class, we will recognize your academic excellence. Or if you finish at the top of your stage as the top academic performer, you will also be awarded with an academic financial award. So every year we have a scholarships, awards, and prizes ceremony in the Quinn School, and it's a really special occasion. So students get to invite their family and friends, and they're formally recognized. That's just within the school, though. The university also has an award ceremony to recognize this academic excellence. I think it might be time to move on to our student panel. So I'll just pass this over to Aoife again.
Many thanks, Emily. And yes, it is cold and flu season, so I completely empathize with you. Before we were going to be joined by a couple of our student and alumni panelists. So we have Michaela, Arnav, and Shannon who'll be joining us. So what I might actually do is just turn off our slides and get our panelists to join us, and I'll ask them all to introduce themselves, if that's okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, many
I
thanks, Arnav. You're going to start off.
No worries. Hi, everybody. I'm Arnav. I'm originally from Delhi, New Delhi, India, and I'm a stage 3 student in the Economics and Finance program. I'm currently interning at Bulgari, the fashion company that's a part of the LVMH group. And I've had a wonderful experience with the Quinn School so far.
Thanks so much, Arnav. Michaela, can I point over to you?
Hi, my name is Michaela. I am originally from Hawaii. I'm currently over in Kuwait. I'm a recent graduate of UCD. And yeah, I'm working over in Kuwait for a nonprofit organization called the USO.
And tell us how warm it is in Kuwait today, Michaela, in -1 degree.
At the moment, I only know Fahrenheit. So right now it's about 89 degrees
Significantly
Fahrenheit.
warmer than here. Thanks so much,
Yes.
Michaela. Shannon, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm from Connecticut in the US. I came here to study BSc Business, and I'm in my intern year for my third year at PwC. Yep.
Thanks so much, Shannon. I think, and we mentioned before we started this webinar, that this is really the most useful part. And I think the part of all webinars that students really want to hear. They want to hear your experience. They want to hear what prompted you to come to UCD, the challenges you face, the advice you might give. So, Michaela, as somebody who's now complete with the degree, we might begin with you, and you might just share with us a little bit about why you decided to come and how you found that transition coming from Hawaii to Dublin.
Yeah, so I actually came from the liberal arts and science program before I transferred over to commerce. I didn't know, personally, I didn't know what I wanted to do after high school. So I came over, I applied to UCD because I heard, like, I saw really good reviews on it. I actually have never gone to the campus before. I did a lot of campus tours over the summer, but then I just didn't feel like I felt like it was a place that I really wanted to go to. I'm very adventurous. I love to go to different places. I love to travel. So when I saw there was an opportunity in Ireland, I took it, and I told my parents, I said, hey, this is a school that I'm really interested in. And they were very supportive. So I applied and I got accepted, and it's been the best decision I've made so far. So, and I really enjoyed my time there. I made some really great friends, and they're pretty much my lifelong friends, I'd say.
Super. Thanks, Michaela. And that liberal arts, is that exactly designed for students like you who are not quite sure, who want to explore and want to have that flexibility and don't want to pigeonhole themselves in too early? They want to try the art side, maybe try a little bit of science, maybe try a little bit of engineering, but business is where you landed on.
Yes, yeah, I loved it.
Super. Well, thank you so much. Arnav, I might ask you as well about your journey into economics and finance, which is our specialist quantitative finance program.
So coming from my academic background, I studied my whole life back in Delhi, and I always had an inclination towards more quantitative subjects. Subjects like physics or math really interested me, and I loved to study accountancy and economics at school. So it was quite easy to kind of pick this program out of all of them. And the thing that drew me to economics and finance was the variability of the subjects that it offers. I studied everything from maths to computer science to statistics and economics and finance. And that wide range really equipped me with the tools to deal with many different situations. And that's been the most enjoyable part of my degree, learning so many new things.
Super. And you're currently on internship, Arnav.
Mm-hmm.
And how's
Yeah,
that working out so far? Do you want to talk us through the internship process?
absolutely. So the internship process begins around January, February in the second year of your program. So there's an internship portal that UCD has set up, which is quite intuitive to use. And there are many, many job postings to choose from. And you choose to 5 that you like. And then the interview process happens through the company. And if you're lucky enough, you get an offer. And there's an agreement that's signed between UCD and the company as well. And after that, you also enroll into an academic module from UCD where you have to do learning reflections where we talk about what tools I've learned from UCD that I'm applying in my internship, as well as things that I'm learning at the internship that could help and benefit me going forward. And at the end of the internship, I'll have to do a project which talks about these things in a greater detail. So the overall process is quite simple, and there are supports along the way that helps you at every stage, which is super useful as somebody who's doing it for the first time.
Super. Thanks so much, Arnav. And yes, it is a real world interaction with companies. So we can all be called for interview, or only 5 people can be called for interview. They may offer to 2 people or they may offer to 5 people, but there are subsequent rounds. So if students don't get a placement in the first round, we do a second round, a third round, a fourth round, and so on until we place as many students as really we possibly can. And Shannon, is that your experience as well? So you're currently on internship with PwC, but you were abroad in semester 2. So your application for the internship was slightly outside the country.
Yeah, I did a remote interview, but it works pretty similarly, I think. I mean, I honestly think in person is a little easier. It might be more intimidating, like stepping into the office building, but I feel like they can get like calm you down a little bit easier or like make you feel more welcome in person, but it's still like the same. I don't know. I feel like it's pretty similar. Yeah.
But being on exchange didn't prohibit
No, not at all.
participation in
Not
the
at all.
internship. So do you want to talk us through your exchange and why you chose to come from the States to Ireland and then go further afield again?
Yeah, so I came here for BSc Business. I knew someone who had graduated randomly. She worked with me and she had mentioned her time here and she graduated UCD, kind of showed me like that route and then I applied and once I applied I got my scholarship, which was pretty much the big factor in this decision because I didn't know any connections. I've never left the country before. Like I just was kind of uncertain about it. But then once I got my scholarship, I was pretty much like that I have to at least go and try it out. And yeah, I've loved it ever since. Definitely no regrets. And then my decision to go to Singapore, I actually like did not think I would actually do that. I was like kind of applying for that on a whim. And then when I got Singapore to go there for Erasmus, I had known a few other people doing it, and that kind of calmed me down a little bit about going. And I just figured like, why not? I have another chance to go further. And then once I traveled there, I studied for 4 months and then backpacked after around Asia 2 months afterwards. So that was just like an unbelievable experience. And yeah.
And you're currently on internship for the year, and we'll have you back in the Queen's School in September.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the same for you, Arnav. You were also in Singapore, but in a different university last year.
Mm-hmm. So I did an exchange over at the National University of Singapore in US. It's one of the best universities in the world, and my 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 exchange experience was similar in the sense that it was just incredible. The university is incredible, and I think it's a really nice experience to go out and experience a culture that's different from your own. And I feel this is especially true for people that are looking to study internationally, that they like traveling, so they would like to go to another place as well. And there are so many new things that you get to learn in a different place. And what I found really fascinating was the UCD network in Singapore. That was an event that I was invited to, where UCD alumni all showed up at the Irish ambassador in Singapore's house, and the event was well organized, and it was really amazing to see just how wide the UCD network is.
Yeah, that's a good point, Arnav. The connections are wide and go much beyond Ireland. And there is a very large and significant chapter in Singapore because we run some educational programs over there as well. But thank you so much for that, Arnav. Michaela, if I can go back to you, because you are the one graduate that's here. And I guess the question I'd like to ask is how you feel your study in UCD and the Queen's School has helped you maybe for the world of work.
Yeah, of course. So with Quinn, I think that they do such a great job with doing a lot of group projects. I personally thrive on those. I know a lot of people kind of they they're kind of scared with group projects. But for me, I think learning from different perspectives and kind of getting people's ideas is what I like, how I learn and how I kind of grow personally and professionally. With my job here, is all about connections and all about, so I work for an organization that supports the military, and we do a lot of morale support. And so we go out to, these sites, and we help them and support them in any way we can. So if it's, passing out popsicles, or, letting them play some games, whatever, we do a lot of that connection. So I think UCD really helped me with kind of growing and getting me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and make those connections with, my classmates, or, people outside of UCD or outside of my degree, and around UCD. I think that's what I I learned from being in the Quinn School.
And just think about the academics. Was there any one module in particular that really kind of stood out for you, or that you focused on that this was excellent, including strategy and business management seemingly?
Yeah, so I'm not a numbers person. I really enjoy doing like the visuals and the marketing, so I really gear towards that. A lot of the social media marketing, digital marketing, all of that I really enjoyed. So I took a lot more classes with that my final year. I think those were really fun. I know there's some people that were kind of interested in that as well. When I did like a little Instagram takeover, and I got some questions about that, so I kind of answered those, and it was really a fun experience. I know a lot of people think that business is all about numbers and strategy, but there is a fun side as well, the marketing and the sales part. So I really
Sure.
enjoyed those kind of classes.
You're absolutely right. There is a creative side as well. And we have a broad range of marketing and management modules, and students, as Kieran said earlier when he was talking about the Bachelor of Commerce program, there's a lot of flexibility. So you get to shape very much the final year. You have the core strategy, you have some leadership and reflection modules, but after that, it really is up to individual students to shape the direction they want to go. I think we're coming almost to the end of our time, but I'm going to ask all our panelists just to think, and maybe if you have some advice to offer students, whether it's around the application or thinking, what would you offer students? You've been in this position 3 or 4 years ago. So Shannon, could I start with you? What would your advice be, or what guidance would you give students, or what have you noted maybe over the last 3 years that might be helpful?
Yeah, I'd probably say just like getting yourself out of your comfort zone, getting involved. Like there's so many sports and societies, clubs like that. Like I've gone on so many trips with the ski club and surf club. They do tag rugby for commerce. There's so many things you could be doing, and that's how I've made the most of my friends. So I definitely think it makes your time so much enjoyable, obviously meeting people, making friends, and yeah.
And anything about transitioning from Connecticut to Dublin? Any advice on making that move?
I'd probably just say like everyone's different. Like I know some people struggled a lot more, and just kind of like taking some time to yourself, and I guess if you get homesick or whatever, it's okay to feel like that. I know it always hits harder closer to Christmas, so that's when I luckily can go home and see my family again. But yeah, I think it's just take time and yeah.
Absolutely. And we're lucky to have a good network of support. So we have Emily, who is based in the Quinn School, and then we have the global team as well. So there's a lot of support. But you're right, Shannon, getting involved, building up the network, and it is quite normal to be a little bit homesick when you're making such a big move. And I guess the thing always to remind everyone is that you're not alone, that there are many more in the same position as well. And it is temporary. It does pass after a while. Arnav, anything from your side?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The university has so much to offer. It's really about what you make of it, and especially transitioning from school where the learning process is fairly streamlined.
Yeah.
Um, University just has so many different avenues that you can explore, and I think not being afraid to try new things is a really good way to firstly try out new things and see what you like, but also to build up courage to do things and participate in things that you don't fully know or understand. Because yeah, I feel like it's very important to have that dynamic approach to things, especially now now that everything changes so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. I'm just looking at some questions that are coming in, and somebody's asking, is it compulsory to do the internship? It's not compulsory at all. It is there as an opportunity for students. You don't have to do it. You can choose to complete your degree in 3 years, the BCom, BSc Business or Economics and Finance program, or you can choose to take the 1-year internship. I think around 85% of our students choose to take the internship at this point in time. We do have the reduced non-EU fees. Another query around the salary, and I think Arnav and Shannon probably be a little bit more versed on this. Generally, the salary is around 22 to 26,000 for our internships. It can vary. Some international placements might be a little bit higher, but that means your cost of living might be a little bit higher. But I don't know if Arnav or Shannon want to comment a little bit more on that. I think it's around mid 20s for the internship year.
Yeah, I get 2,000 a month and I'm working 9 months. So yeah.
Pro rata around 24. And there is another question around cost of living, living expenses on campus. Michaela, were you on campus when you joined us a few years ago?
I was on my first year and my final year. I was on campus.
And can you talk a little bit about cost of living? Is it expensive? Can you be more economically savvy? Can you cook at home?
Well, I come from Hawaii and it's very expensive there. So coming over to Ireland, it was a little bit cheaper than back home. But on campus, the accommodation's really nice. I lived in the, oh no, I forget the newer ones.
The UCD Village?
The Village. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, the Village. And that was very handy. It was like a 2-minute walk to the Quinn School. So it was really handy. But I know in the US they do like a catering, they have their own like the food and stuff. With that, it's a big culture shock for me because I had to cook and I don't like to cook. So those of you kind of looking to go to live on campus, that is one thing that I had to get used to.
We do have a good few restaurants and cafes, and we have supermarkets nearby, and there's tons of delivery I see coming in and out every day. So I think we're well catered for. I think that is it, Emily. I might bring you back in and you're going to talk about next steps. I think we might conclude shortly unless the panelists have anything else, any last piece of advice or guidance for potential students? No? Okay, well, we'll hand over to Emily.
All right, thank you, Aoife. Would you mind pulling up that last PowerPoint slide? Thank you. So thank you again for attending the webinar today. If you have any additional questions that you think of later, please feel free to contact me. My email address is up on this slide here. So I'm just going to go over a few next steps. So if you haven't done this already, please go ahead and complete and submit your applications. And if you have questions about the applications, please feel free to reach out to me or either your local global center. Once you've submitted the application and you've heard back from your regional global center, hopefully you've received an offer, go ahead and accept the offer. When you do this, you will receive more information. You'll have information about when you can apply for housing, offer holder events and information. So depending on where you live in the world, your regional global center will have in-person events available. Sometimes our staff from around UCD, the Dublin-based staff, will fly to these in-person events. So that could be your chance to meet some UCD staff. And please do check your email regularly so that you remain updated. You applied for a scholarship. We'll keep you updated through email. So I think I did post the Global Excellence Scholarship link earlier, but again, please look into that. I believe the first deadlines are in the new year, so you have a bit of time to submit your application there. But really just ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out to us here at UCD. Again, you have my email address, so I look forward to hearing from many of you.
Many thanks, Emily. And I think we're just going to conclude. But before we do, I really want to thank our panelists of Shannon and Michaela and Arnav. Thank you so very much for joining us from Kuwait, joining us from Dublin, taking time out during the internship day to be with us. So we really appreciate your time. And also many thanks to Associate Professor Kieran Heavey, who is the Academic Director of the Bachelor of Commerce, for giving his time today and talking us through so expertly the Bachelor of Commerce, our generalist business program. And also to Emily for joining and talking through next steps and the supports that are available and the scholarships as well. So thank you so very much. We really appreciate your time today. We know this is a very big decision that you're about to make in the coming months. We take it seriously. We are delighted to welcome you should you choose to join. And hopefully we will see you in the coming months. But for now, farewell from Dublin. And any queries, please just submit them through the links that Emily sent. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.